From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
New developments in paying for the border wall, and it could affect your wallet. What Trump is proposing for Mexican imports.
Plus, Trump's threat to cut funds to sanctuary cities stirs up debate in the Valley. We look to a Southern California town planning to stand its ground as a safe place for immigrants.
And you've heard of Bring Your Child to Work Day, but the Arizona Department of Health Services is taking it one step further. How this new trend is helping government employees.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Adriana de Alva.
And I'm Danielle Kernkamp. Thank you for joining us.
President Donald Trump is proposing to pay for the border wall by slapping a 20% tax on imports from Mexico. Late today, White House spokesman Sean Spicer said Trump has discussed the idea with congressional leaders and wants to include the measure in a tax reform package. He says that taxing imports from Mexico would generate $10 billion a year. The news comes after the cancellation of Trump's meeting next week with Mexican President Peña Nieto. Nieto stated last night he wouldn't attend the meeting after Trump's wall announcement. But today, Trump told a GOP rally that the cancellation was a mutual agreement.
Unless Mexico is going to treat the United States fairly, with respect, such a meeting would be fruitless, and I want to go a different route.
And just one day after executive orders calling for 5,000 more border agents, Border Patrol Chief Mark Morgan has been forced out of the agency. An official says Morgan chose to resign after being asked to leave.
Those living in border communities have their own thoughts about the wall. Cronkite News reporter Cassidy McDonald traveled to the border in Nogales, Arizona to learn about the community's reaction.
In a speech to the Homeland Security Department on Wednesday, Trump stated his measures will enhance relationships with its southern neighbor.
That will save thousands of lives, millions of jobs, and billions of dollars.
However, in southern Arizona, many local business leaders, such as Sabrina Hallman, feel that the order will harm many businesses who rely on good relations with Mexico.
When there are blockades that are placed and relationships that could be strained and feelings of antagonism, it makes business harder. It clearly does.
This is Nogales, Arizona, right along the U.S.-Mexico border, where President Trump said in a speech to the Department of Homeland Security on Wednesday that he plans to increase security for both sides of the border, which includes 5,000 additional patrol officers, as well as tripling the amount of ICE officers. Mayor John Doyle of Nogales, Arizona, also feels that there is no need for a wall and that the most important thing for safety is a good relationship
with our counterparts and with the people in Mexico. Because if we have their respect, they abide by that. It's when there's feelings in a negative way running rampant, then you get other groups of people that don't follow the law as well take advantage of it.
Both Mayor Doyle and Mayor Stanton agree the border issue should be handled by states dealing with it firsthand.
Don't you think that cities are better governed by the elected officials and the leaders that you have here locally? I believe mandates from Washington are not the right way to go about public safety in our communities.
In Nogales,
let's embrace our diverse population.
Cassidy McDonald, Cronkite News.
Yesterday's executive orders
from President Trump would also boost deportation for illegal immigrants with criminal records.
As Trump announced his plan to build the border wall, Arizona resident Mary Ann Mendoza made good on a promise she made to her son at his deathbed. She was in the nation's capital to witness the signing of the immigration policy and spoke with reporter Marisela Ramirez in our Washington bureau.
When I went in to say goodbye to him after he had died after his surgery, I promised him that I would fight to him until something happened, that this would never happen to another child.
Mendoza's son was killed in a head-on collision by a drunk driver here illegally who was driving the wrong way on the freeway. Steve Ronnebeck, whose 21-year-old son was murdered at a local QT over a pack of cigarettes, feels the pain of a murdered child.
The man then said, "What, you're not going to give me my cigarettes?" And Grant said, "Well, I need to count your change." The man executed him, shot him in the face, stepped over his lifeless body, grabbed a couple more packs of cigarettes, and walked out the door.
Ronnebeck has been fighting for action to keep dangerous illegal immigrants out of the U.S. since the death of his son. He described the witnessing of the signing as incredible.
My son's voice was heard. It was just an incredible honor to my son.
Mendoza said this executive order is the first step in keeping the promise she made to her son at his deathbed.
I was very emotional because I felt my son there with me very, very strong. It was like, way to go, Mom. What you've been fighting for has finally happened.
Reporting from Washington, Maricela Ramirez, Cronkite News.
On the heels of Trump's plan to crack down on sanctuary cities, Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton came out with a message of inclusion. He promised Phoenix will remain a welcoming city for all residents, but others on the city council don't feel the same way. Phoenix City Councilman Sal DiCiccio says, quote, if the mayor feels so strongly about immigration issues, he should schedule a council vote on whether Phoenix should be a sanctuary city. Instead, his comments accomplish nothing and change nothing about Phoenix's immigration position, end quote. DiCiccio went on to say that as long as he's on the council, Phoenix will not be a sanctuary city.
Sanctuary cities across the nation are figuring out what their next steps will be. Cronkite News reporter Lauren Negrete takes us to La Puente, California, where city leaders say the answer is clear.
The kids of La Puente are taking a tour of City Hall and getting a lesson on what it means to live in a sanctuary city.
We've taken a stance. We will not provide information or data to law enforcement or federal agencies such as Homeland Security or ICE in order for them to come in our cities and displace families.
President Trump's executive order threatens to take away federal funding from sanctuary cities, which Councilman Argudo says would cost La Puente $2 million.
We would be able to look elsewhere to try and get some funding, make some rearrangements, but there will not be no major impacts in our city if we were to be defunded.
Council members here at La Puente City Hall had already been considering drafting up a resolution to make the city a sanctuary city geared towards immigrants. However, community members came forward with their own version, making the resolution more inclusive to other minority groups. The La Puente Coalition meets at the community center to discuss their sanctuary plan. Gilda Ochoa is a member of the group responsible in making the city a sanctuary for immigrants. But they didn't stop there.
We in La Puente support the community that lives here. We will not tolerate hate, discrimination. We had a broad, inclusive resolution intentionally.
Their version protects religious minorities, LGBTQ, and groups they feel are targeted.
More and more cities are declaring sanctuary. We're fighting back, and you need to realize who you're dealing with.
Ochoa and the La Puente Coalition are moving forward, now pushing to make their local school district a sanctuary campus. In La Puente, Lauren Negrete, Cronkite News.
Arizona's monthly employment reports are in for the end of 2016, and there's hope for the coming year. Cronkite News reporter Amanda Luberto was at the report release and shows us who gained and who came up short.
After the December 2016 employment report came out, the state can say that the unemployment rate in Arizona has not been this low since February 2006. In last month alone, the unemployment rate decreased, putting Arizona at under 5%.
More people enter into the labor force, those people able to find jobs, and the number of individuals in the labor force who are unemployed declined through 2016, so that was a positive.
Trade and transportation lost jobs last year, and Walls believes it could be due to people shopping online instead of in store. But for the first time in nearly a decade, construction gained jobs, reflecting the growth happening in Phoenix and Tucson. But for the year, education and health services came out on top with over 14,000 jobs. The halls of the Maricopa Medical Center are relatively quiet, clean, and nurses are nearby. Behind the curtains here are new employees ready to help.
With the important jobs that hospitals hold, it's no surprise that education and health services gained over 3,000 jobs in the month of December. There's always a need for people to save lives.
The hospital and the Maricopa Integrated Health System are almost always hiring. Sherry Stotler, Chief Nursing Officer at MIHS, says an improving economy is not the only reason for this.
You know, we're always hiring, and when you ask about longevity, we have a lot of nurses that have been here for a long time, so, you know, people are getting to that age where they are looking at retirement, so we're always bringing in that next generation.
Arizona is still below the post-recession average, but the December report shows hope for the state. In Phoenix, Amanda Luberto, Cronkite News.
The future of how we drive is changing.
And sooner than we may think. Coming up on Cronkite News, we take you for a spin behind the wheel of a self-driving car.
And how one Phoenix family is trying to change the law to honor their late son.
I think I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment all my life now. All my dreams are coming true, yeah. I've been waiting for this moment. It's good to be alive right about now. Found my it's good to be alive right about now.
Officially from 36, and he hooks it in. Arizona State wins. Keeping one deep, and it is caught. Jalen Strong. Do you believe
The Drug Enforcement Administration in Phoenix has confirmed to Cronkite News that Arizona's newest killer opioid, known as U4 or Pink, has claimed another life.
We've seen 4 now overdose deaths, overdose fatalities as a result of people trying to experiment with drugs, this drug specifically, as they continue their opiate addiction here in Maricopa County.
The DEA has confirmed all 4 victims of the drug were men. Their ages range from 25 to 55 years old. Investigators say the drugs were created overseas and likely ordered online.
Senate Bill 1080, which would ban texting while driving for 16 to 18-year-olds, is heading to the full Senate. The bill says that drivers between those ages would not be allowed to text behind the wheel within 6 months of having their license. Senator Steve Farley says although this is a little step forward, the bill should be misinterpreted.
I believe it's really important that we not simply send the message that if you're experienced enough, as long as you've been driving for 6 months, it's okay to do whatever you want while you're driving. That's a bad message.
Farley says he's expecting the bill to be heard in the Senate sometime early next week.
Senate Bill 1054, also known as Joe's bill, had its final Senate hearing this morning at the state capitol. The bill has come after the death of a teenager in a car crash. Cronkite News reporter Joe Constantine talked with the family behind the bill.
Family and friends of Joe Smith gathered this morning in support of Senate Bill 1054, known to many as Joe's bill.
Warms my heart so much to see all these people just come together, and you know, a big part of it was Horizon High School, all close friends, family, community, just coming together to support this. It's huge.
June 17th, 2016. 18-year-old Joe Smith was killed in a highway crash. Smith was traveling back from a senior trip to California with 3 of his friends when their car was struck from behind by an 18-wheeler. The driver was said to be tired, but no testing was done to see if he was under the influence of drugs or alcohol. 7 months later, the family is hoping to gain support for a bill that would require drivers to be tested for alcohol and drugs after an accident, resulting in serious injury or death.
Any loved one, anyone you care about that's driving, if someone hits them, kills them, seriously injures them, it's up to the discretion of the officer to test that driver for drugs or alcohol.
It's an emotional subject, even for those hearing the bill.
I would hate for my mother and father or myself to have to stand where you're standing right now and try to get something passed just so people would understand that things need to be done for the hurt that people have to go through.
Joe's bill passed today's Senate hearing by a vote of 7-0. The next stop, the Arizona House of Representatives right behind me. For Cronkite News at the state capitol, I'm Joe Constantine.
94% of all traffic-related accidents are caused by human error. Self-driving car companies claim not having a driver behind the wheel can actually be safer. Reporter Natalie Tarangoli learned more about the future of these cars and a company that's test driving them in Chandler.
We need to take the human out of the driving equation.
Cars of the not-so-distant future are here.
Couldn't have done much better myself.
Autonomous cars are being test-driven all over the country, including Chandler.
We improve safety by removing the driver. We're not drunk, we're not distracted. We can see 360 degrees around us. The average human can see about 120 degrees.
Pullover planned. Futurist Brian David Johnson believes the self-driving car revolution will be big, even bigger than the advancement of smartphones.
I mean, maybe you could look at the equivalent of, say, railroads, or the railroad, because it's so tied not only who we are culturally, but it's tied to our technology, it's tied to our economy.
Johnson says autonomous cars improve safety by removing the driver, which is initially a scary thought for some people.
Early on, maybe 8 years ago, when I started talking to people about self-driving cars, they were horrified by it. They would ask me questions that were basically similar to the robot apocalypse, that they were losing their freedom, they were losing control.
My dream is really that everybody's in a self-driving car. I think it makes the roads safer. I think that it gives people their mobility back. I also think it gives people their time back.
Johnson predicts it'll be up to 10 years until the cars are more culturally accepted.
For that generation who's now sitting in that car seat in the back seat, they're going to be the ones who would ask themselves, why would you ever have a human drive the car?
In Chandler, Natalie Tarangoli, Cronkite News.
Many new parents struggle with leaving their kids behind when it's time to go back to work.
Coming up on Cronkite News, how bringing their babies to work is actually improving productivity for Arizona government workers.
And it's clear and sunny skies in Phoenix right now, but will that stick around? I have your answer coming up.
Heaven knows you're a dreamer. Don't hide it from anyone. Don't hide it from anyone. Hey, would you believe me if I said we are here for a reason now? This is our life. This is what counts. This is for us. I will go anywhere for you.
This week marks School Choice Week, highlighting the different education options available to families nationwide. Arizona school choice advocates attended a luncheon today sharing what opportunities are available to local families. It was a celebration to recognize the difference school choice has made in the lives of students, especially for those in low-income school districts. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey praised the program.
School choice is the cornerstone of any successful education program where parents, not the government, are the decision makers of their children's education.
Ducey said Arizona has become the national model for advancing parental choice in education and that it has always been ahead of the game.
The Arizona Department of Health Services is inviting new employees to work, but it's not who you might expect. Cronkite News reporter Alexa Stukrath shows us how babies are improving productivity.
This may seem like your typical work environment. However, one new trend is changing the ordinary for some Arizona government employees.
I think it's been a really great opportunity to be able to bring her into work. She's
been a good contributor to our team.
6-month-old Caitlin is at work every day with her dad, letting them bond more frequently than if she was at an outside daycare.
Having the interaction with her, having that one-on-one time is beneficial for us.
And Caitlin isn't the only baby rolling around. 3-month-old Beckham also joins her mother at work.
The thought of having to not have her with me when my maternity leave ended, it would have been so much to be able to handle.
However, having these babies at work isn't all naps and playtime.
How am I going to make sure she has everything she needs, but how am I also going to make sure that my job has everything that I need to do? And getting those things both in order, I think, is definitely hard work.
We coordinate nap time, feedings, and diaper changes between my meetings.
These babies bring a unique dynamic to the workplace.
And you could see the office dynamics change. People are happier, workplace morale increases when there's the baby around.
It brings out these things in people that is just so neat to see.
Sadly, these babies don't get to stay forever.
Babies up until 6 months, they mostly sleep. And so, they're not very active, they're not mobile. At about 6 months is when we've noticed that that's when it's harder to continue to do the job while the baby's still at work.
Which means Caitlin will be graduating from the program soon.
She's going to be retiring next week, and I think it's going to be a transition for me at least.
And she will be missed by all. In Phoenix, Alexis Stucraft, Cronkite News.
The snowpack in northern Arizona has reached its highest level in a decade. After nearly 8 feet of snow, the snowpack contains about 25.2 inches of water, according to the National Resources Conservation Service. With more snowpack comes an increased concern of avalanches in the San Francisco peaks.
And Flagstaff is definitely one of our colder cities right now. It's 26 degrees, going to be the same in about the Grand Canyon, and then over in Prescott, 38. But as we get into more central Arizona, 57 in Phoenix. In the valley right now, we have current temperatures all in the higher mid-50s, so 57 in Phoenix, and then both in Glendale and Chandler, 57 as well. But that's going to change as we head into the nighttime, so it's going to be closer to the high 30s, low 40s, depending on where you are. So 40 in Phoenix tonight, and then Friday, 8 a.m. as you're waking up, heading to work, it's going to be about 40 degrees in Scottsdale, 36 in Maricopa. But taking a look through the day, it's going to start warming up. But then as we head in to our weekend forecast, it's going to really start warming up. So 58 on Friday, 68 on Sunday. But taking a look at the rest of the week, it's actually going to get into those mid-70s. And then at night, we're going to be in those mid-40s. But it's going to start warming up by Thursday. That's a look at your 7-day forecast.
Bedtime stories can be an opportunity for learning, not just relaxing before bed. Coming up on Cronkite News, how one Phoenix mom turned her kids' Spanish bedtime stories into a business idea.
Fascinating. You know, sometimes I wish I wasn't so beloved.
Can't you see? Little girls got a hold on me like wow. Baby, I'm howling for you.
It's literally one for the history books.
Enjoy.
Many parents put their children to sleep by reading bedtime stories, and some even choose stories in another language. Cronkite News reporter Kaylee Nassif tells us about a Phoenix mom who started a business supplying children's books available in Spanish.
Vanessa Nielsen is an avid reader. When she found out she was having her first child, she knew she would want to read to her baby.
And we knew that we wanted our kids to be bilingual, so the first thing I did as a big reader was look for books in Spanish.
So she started her search, both online and at her local library.
So the Spanish language collection is actually very robust. We have a collection at every single location.
But Nielsen wanted more books that were originally written in Spanish or that had better translations.
I thought it would be awesome if somebody could just hand me a bunch of books so that I didn't have to spend my time reading a lot of Amazon reviews. And there wasn't anything like that, so I decided to be that person for other people and create a service.
That service is Soul Book Box, a subscription box that ships Spanish language books for children 7 and younger.
In every Soul Book Box, Vanessa handpicks the items that she puts inside. Every box includes a multitude of toys, and most importantly, the book.
Close to 30% of children and teens in Arizona speak a language other than English at home, according to the Center for Immigration Studies. But being able to read in a language is not the same as speaking it.
Reading is not just the spoken language transcribed. The language of a written text is significantly different in many ways.
Soul Book Box sent out their first orders just this month, but she is hopeful for the future.
It's hard to say where it'll go, but I'm really optimistic based on the response that we've seen so far.
And the response from our customers has been muy bueno. In Phoenix, Kaylee Nassif, Cronkite News.
Nielsen started Soul Book Box after she won a Univision Arizona competition for Hispanic entrepreneurs last November.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, former NATO ambassador Kurt Volker discusses President Trump's foreign affairs ideas. And we'll hear from a new organization aimed at supporting good jobs in our state. That's the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next NewsHour, part 2 of our look at faking normal. How many who appear middle class face fragile finances. That's Thursday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
And for top stories in Arizona anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.